I should be like you, Mel.
Ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Happy birthday to Chris Hubble. It's finally here, main man. Hope you are doing well. And of course, you're already in the chat on your birthday, watching some Cherry AM. So good to see you, mate. And yeah, many happy returns. Don't do anything I wouldn't. That means pretty much everything is on the table. But yeah, it'd be sensible. But yeah, happy 38th birthday. I'm just going to quickly go through here. Fantastic news on Semenyo signing a deal with the Cherries. We're going to come to that. On my birthday, yeah, it was a good birthday. Morning, Craig and Ollie. Good morning, Chris. And we'll just go through some of the happy birthdays. I'm losing my voice there. Sorry. The happy birthdays. Happy birthday from Malcolm Chiverton. Chris has said, thank you, Mel. So yes, very, very happy returns. And good morning to everybody, says Malcolm. And good morning, everyone. Fantastic news about Semenyo signing. Hopefully this will keep people quiet about calling us a selling club. I tell you what, because you know how much of a big Semenyo fan I am, we are going to do it a little bit later on in the stream. So you're going to have to stay here for the duration with us to actually see, you know, all about what I make of this deal for Semenyo. But, you know, there's one thing guaranteed, that I am a pretty happy bunny today. Hello to Trevor Guard. Hope you are well, mate. Good news about Semenyo, but we need more defence. Yep, that's something I think that Andoni is probably earmarking. But yeah, and yeah, great to see you, Trevor. Hope you're doing well. I tell you what, let's start off with an outgoing that happened yesterday, though. You know, keep everybody on tenterhooks about Semenyo till the end, Ollie. But let's talk about Joe Rothwell. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. By the way, happy birthday, Chris. It's welcome back to the show. Joe Rothwell over to Rangers. It was in talks. It was something that was discussed, I believe, last week on a show, or maybe at the start of this week. But yeah, he has had a permanent transfer to Rangers. They've reached a deal. The fee is undisclosed, but I think it'll be around 6 million. I think. Don't quote me on that at all. That's just hearsay through the grapevine. But essentially, everyone in all departments is happy with the move, right? Joe's happy with the move. He's had some incredible loaned out seasons, getting into this stage with Southampton in 23, getting them promoted back into the Prem. And then again with Leeds in 24-25, getting them back into the Prem with promotion. So he's really earned his stripes to be bought out into Rangers, who I believe have got new owners now, hence why they're spending a little bit of money. They're now owned by the 49ers, aren't they, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah. So look, that at the moment they're strengthening their midfield, and Joe Rothwell is going to play a real impactful part, I think, in the middle third for Rangers. But yeah, all in all, it's a huge congratulations to Joe. He's going to get some great playing time. He's probably going to get some time in front of bigger teams, especially in the UEFA's or Champions League. Teams against like great teams like Panathinaikos, who I can't say the name.
Panathinaikos.
Panathinaikos. And some other exposure really into some big league football, which is awesome for him, in my opinion.
It brings the question though, because I really, really, really do respect Joe Rothwell. I think he was great in our promotion season. I think, when we signed him from Blackburn, what we were signing a player who was, really at the peak in the Championship. And so he's shown over a couple of years, that he's remained peak in the Championship. I think he can do a job in the Premier League, but for a side like AFC Bournemouth, and he is a victim of us trying to grow and Andoni coming in. I think personally he was probably left a little bit behind. He is a little bit slower, great passer of the ball, but a slower player just doesn't fit into Andoni's mould. And there's no wrong side of that. He did a job here, and his style is just a different sort of style of player as what we're used to.
I think that's a really accurate sum up, Craig. He is a physical kind of experienced central midfielder. You wouldn't necessarily call him agile or pacey, would you? So I think that consistency of being that physical demanding player in the midfield is the reason why he's being taken into a team like Rangers and why he's not being considered in a team like Iriola's.
But the question here for me is, seeing as he's so successful in the Championship, and the Scottish League is, let's be honest, a two-team league. As much as Hibernian are going to try and bridge the gap with Bill Foley's investment, it is going to be very, very difficult because of how it's been set up. Even you take it back to 2005, I think it was, when Rangers were penalised and relegated all the way to the third division of Scottish football as it was then. Of course, they've come in line with the English pyramids and how that's named. But when Rangers were relegated to the third division, it didn't take them very long to get going again, despite having pretty much limited players, having pretty much no money because of their fan base, because of Ibrox, the ground. The thing is, for me, is it that much of a challenge? Okay, yeah, overcoming Celtic, could be fun, but taking a team, say for example, Joe Rothwell went to Bristol City. Let's throw Bristol City out there. A fairly local side. Bristol City, and Bristol City were to be promoted with Joe Rothwell in their team. That, for me, is more of an achievement. Getting Leeds and Southampton promoted to the Premier League, twice on the bounce, is more of an achievement than, Rangers bridging that gap in a two-team league.
Yes, I can see and understand why you'd think that. But let's think about diversifying your career in a way, right? So he's had a chance to come back to Bournemouth and adapt, change, transition into a different kind of player to meet the fulfillment needs of this squad. After having the two successful loan periods and having two successful promotions, and you're absolutely right, that's standout performance, right? What's he going to gain from going to Rangers? Well, let's look at it in a different way. If Rangers end up taking over Celtic in the next 2 or 3 years, and they stay top of the Scottish Premier League, where's he going to get an offer from next, do you reckon? Is he then going to be looking at higher teams in the French league, in the Spanish leagues, in the Italian leagues? This, I think, for Joe Rothwell, an opening into and an exposure into many other teams at the moment. Rangers are getting him into the team quickly so that he's available for pre-season games, so that he's available for Champions League preview matches and lead up to the qualifying for the Champions League. This could really do something for Joe's career. In the next 2 seasons, if he performs and Rangers get to where they want to be, who knows?
It's a very, very, very good point, that, because at the end of the day, I could see Joe Rothwell, considering how he plays in the Italian league. I can see him in the Italian league because the pace is slower. We all remember, Football Italia on Channel 4s in, the mid-90s. It was always a Sunday morning. I always used to watch it. Sampdoria, Fiorentina. It was those two, wasn't it?
Yeah, and if you look at the teams now, you've got big investment companies buying out Italian teams. Look at Como.
Yeah.
Como at the moment are almost like a Wrexham. It's a tiny little team that some big names and some big ex-footballers have gone and bought out, and all of a sudden Como are now in the rankings to be challenging the Italian top leagues for the next couple of years. So anything can happen, and people like Joe Rothwell could be picked out from a group and plonked in any top ranking team in Europe, I think, in the next couple of years.
So maybe use Scottish football as a stepping stone rather than a destination.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Especially alongside Max Aarons. They're both over there now, aren't they, right? So who knows? Yeah.
North of the border, I'm sure that they'll both do very, very well. And we will be keeping tabs on Rangers and seeing what they're going to do this season. We have got some comments. We have got Paul from Oz. He said, "Hi, guys. I hope you're well, Paul. I have neglected the comments. I do apologise." Liam Humby's in the house. Good morning, everyone, and happy birthday, Chris. Great news on Semenyo. I am going to keep you waiting, guys, because at the end of the day, I could blabber on for ages about that. But yes, honestly, I am buzzing for anybody that knows me. Malcolm said, "Hello, Paul from Oz." Sion has said, "I'm really glad Semenyo signed, but especially if the money was true, he was the least I was fussed about. To me, he was inconsistent, and to have a poor conversion rate, he was the least I was fussed about."
But Sion, that is the reason why we like opinions on this show, because you ruffle the feathers of our main host, Craig.
I tell you what, I don't know if I do agree with that, Sion, but I'm going to blab away, and please stay in the comment so you can throw it all back to me. Chris Hubble said, "Thank you, Liam." Sion said, "If he can sort out his conversion rate, especially, then to me he can become that 70 million player." I'm going to hold my comments for a moment. Hold my comments. Paul said, "Happy birthday to Chris. Wish I was your age, mate. We was all 38 once. I was 38 once." Yeah.
Talk for the rest of you, Craig. I'm not there yet, mate.
You're not. I'm pushing on the 40 now. Chris Hubble said, "Thank you to Paul." Dan has said, "Good morning, Craig and Ollie." Good morning, Dan. Hope you are doing well. He said, "Happy birthday to Chris." Chris has said, "Thank you to Dan." We've got a lovely community here. PSR strikes again for Newcastle. Interesting. This is a big question as well. We'll open this up to the whole floor. Are the Premier League trying to stop another Manchester City emerging, one owned by Saudis? There's a question that's thrown a spanner in the works.
I don't think they should be allowed to corner anything, considering the fact of how far Man City have been able to go. But that's just my opinion on the matter. If one goes here and one goes here, how do you can't just attempt to even that out. You have to. It's going to continue to become a silly game.
but it's not just it's not just the Premier League. We're talking UEFA
No,
as well.
yeah,
We'll come on to UEFA, and it just reminds me we're going to touch on that very quickly. It's a good move for Joe, says Malcolm. Why is it the big teams don't get penalised, but the smaller ones do by PSR? Yeah, very true. How much did we pay for Rothwell? That's a very good question. I'm
I'll find
thinking
out.
back. I don't think it was very much at all. If any, well, no, he signed mid-season, didn't he? And his Blackburn contract was expiring. So what we spent on Joe Rothwell was very, very minimal.
Free,
Um,
free transfer from Blackburn 2022.
there we are. Was it in the summer or was it in the
It was in the summer of 2022 from Blackburn on a free transfer. Yeah,
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, so yeah. Sorry, I do apologise. It was after the promotion. I always thought he was in part of the promotion side, but of course he was just after it. Sorry, time has flown by.
these things happen,
Cobwebs,
mate. Lots of information to remember. Some things are bound to sneak
cobwebs
through the
upstairs in the brain.
loopholes.
Dan, bigger clubs spend more money. Um, The ruling is limited to 105 million over 3 years. It certainly is. But how can, some clubs get away with more than that? That's a thing. Trevor said, do you feel that Bournemouth are a stepping stone team, buy the young, then make money like Brighton do? Ollie, what's your opinion on that?
In truthful, transparent answer, Trevor, I feel like once upon a time that may have been the goal of Bournemouth because there wasn't much other option to become a presence in the Premier League. The teams had to kind of be academy builders, young player development, buying squads. Now it's completely different environment. It's a different framework set up now. So
Yeah.
I'd have to disagree now, Trevor. I don't think we're a stepping stone. I think that we've got a 5-year football business development plan to make the club revenue related and result related, and I think we'll see both of those go hand in hand as we watch the team grow. So no, I don't think so.
See, I'm kind of half and half on this, and I'll tell you why. It's an interesting conversation, this one. Is I think we are with certain players. I don't think Dean Howson would have come here had we not had that clause in his contract. He wanted to go to a big club. He knew his ability. His agent knew his ability. Would he have picked AFC Bournemouth if we turned around and said, no, we're not putting that clause in there, which could scupper your, deal to Real Madrid?
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think he would have done. In turn, we've seen one of the best players that we possibly could ever see in an AFC Bournemouth shirt. I think Dean is going to go to the very, very top. He already pretty much is. So, yeah. But on other hands, I do agree with you that the likes of Semenyo, the likes of Justin Kluivert, I don't think we need to sell them. The likes of Zabania, I don't think we need to sell them. So I wouldn't say that we're a selling club. I think we are a stepping stone club for players who come here with the ambition to move up higher. Kirkes was probably one of those.
Yeah, I think it's a club where you go to get recognised. I don't think necessarily it's a stepping stone club because you could get recognised here and still stay here, like Semenyo, like Senesi, like Kluivert. You don't necessarily have to come here and go, oh, I'll take the first offer that comes through or the first bit of interest that comes through from a bigger club. You aren't seeing that from players anymore. You may have done in the past, but now players are staying because it's coming away from that stepping stone and it's becoming this thing that in actual fact it's a whole journey. There's a whole growth plan here. There's a whole 5-year plan that players are buying into, the coaching staff are buying into, that development squads are buying into. There's a whole game at play here that's a lot less than just what can we gain next season's going to be tough, can we back up this position. No, we're way above that now, I think.
It's an interesting debate because we've got contrasting thoughts here. Paul Sant has agreed with you 100%. Malcolm said, Trev, if we are a stepping stone club like Brighton, it's not a bad thing. It means we're doing something right.
True.
Trevor
Yeah.
said, Malcolm, I agree, but it seems like that sometimes.
I can see how you feel like that, Trev. I can. And I can understand. And you're not the only one, mate. There's probably thousands of Bournemouth fans that feel exactly the way that you do. And I think it's going to be a consistent pulling and pushing from your kind of aspect as a Bournemouth fan and our kind of aspect as a Bournemouth fan, where we're only seeing what could come from the positivity and the growth and the spending and the letting go of these good players, whereas a lot of other fans are only seeing the crap. We've made it here. It's taken us 30 years, 40 years, 50 years to have any kind of standing in English football, and all of a sudden we're letting it go. So I do get it from both angles. I really do.
Yeah, most definitely. Just a couple of very quick comments as well. Malcolm Chiverton, the ruling is limited to 105 million over 3 years. I'm just waiting. I haven't seen the comment yet, but I will do in a second. Dan Short said, any idea when the Champions League draw is?
I thought that had happened, Dan. Was that not on the 18th of
No,
June?
it's on the 28th of August. No, it's a bit later.
Oh, yes. You are correct. Yeah, sorry. 28th of August.
Yeah. And here we go. Just did a quick search on Google. Semenyo conversion rate was 8.8% apparently. 14% is a good rate, not even an amazing rate. And at 70 million, I would expect at least a good rate.
I love Sion's opinions on Semenyo. I think you and Sion should maybe debate Semenyo on a separate show. I think that would be great.
I think that would be very, very good.
He's got some really good points going on here, and he obviously is fairly passionate about the fact that Semenyo isn't worth 70 mil, and you clearly are.
Well, there we are. Well, I'll give my blurb in a minute.
I love it.
Yeah. WW, great to have you with us. I haven't seen you on the show before, but it may be a different name. You might have been subscribed for a while, but welcome. That's my thought exactly. If players and their agents can see a long-term plan, they'll stay with us rather than moving on quickly. Yeah,
exactly. And again, I think this is what comes down to almost the Eddie Howe era, right? Is that you have to buy into the vision and the ideology of the club. And all that's happened is Andoni has taken over that exact same ideology and just rocket fueled it with strategy and tactic and money from Bill Foley and all these other extra levels that go on top. Of course, players are going to want to stay and ride this out.
To be honest, Andoni is probably the most critical cog in this wheel as well.
Yeah.
So, most definitely. Right, let's move on from Joe Rothwell. And, of course, we are doing a competition at the moment, Ollie. We've had quite a few entries. Now, to enter, what you will need to do, open it in another window now, just so you don't forget. Go to the UTC IAD AFCB YouTube channel. Anybody watching on Instagram, please do that and hit subscribe. And then if you go to the posts section, there will be a very, very nice plaque. And you have to guess a question. What is that question, Ollie?
That question is, so everyone knows our friendly face, Matt, who's our other main host. He has quite the collection, should I say, of AFC Bournemouth shirts from over the years. Now, the question is who can guess the exact amount, ideally, but closest to the amount of shirts, AFC Bournemouth shirts that Matt has in his house, will win that wooden plaque. Yeah.
If the number's already been selected, whoever picked that number first in that thread on the post section will win. So try and pick a different number if the number's being picked. Of course, it's not possible to for entry for me, Ollie, Matt. Of course, that'll be a bit easy for him, or Malcolm, because we kind of know the answer. But enter your guesses on the post section. You'll see a whole little thread to it. Go to the comments and you'll leave it on there. And I think we've had quite a few. Who are the respondents so far? Let's have a little look.
Well, just so everyone knows that we're running for another 24 hours or so. So you've got another 24 hours. The competition will be closed off on tomorrow's podcast. And then Matt will actually deliver the answer and the winner on Friday's podcast. So you've got another 24 hours, people, to go and get your guesses in on YouTube. Have you posted it on Facebook as well?
The post on Facebook is directing. So if you are watching and come from Facebook, you have to post on this YouTube thread. Ideally, subscribe first, but then post on the thread, and then So we have got Nick Gillins. We've had. Do you know what? It comes up with handles. So Nick Gillins. We've had Joe Davison. We've got Dan Short. We have got Soccerbird, and we have got Darren Hurst, who have all made their entries. But there's lots more room for people.
There's lots of names in here, guys. Go and get your entries in. David DaCosta from Melbourne. Lovely to see you here.
Hello, David. Hope you're doing well, mate.
Go and get your guesses in on how many shirts Matt has got. Same with you, Sion. Same Trevor. There's loads of names in here. Go and get your guesses in, and we'll. I'd love to be able to get this plaque out to one of you guys that listens every morning. That would be ideal. That would be really ideal.
Most definitely. Liam Humby said, "I had a dream last night. We won the European Cup in Belgium."
It's a good dream.
You never know. You never know. Andoni's plan. There you are. Maybe Andoni's saying, in your dreams, this is what I'm going to do. A little bit like what's the guy? The name of the hypnotist, Darren Brown, isn't it?
Derek Akora. Were you talking about?
Oh, Derek Akora. No, he was the one that went into the ghost hunting places, didn't he?
Oh, was he ghost hunting?
Yeah, he was the ghost hunter.
Darren Brown's not. Oh, Darren Brown's an illusionist. But yeah,
there we are. Shows what I know. But I think Semenyo can be, and if he finds, Sian is still going on about Semenyo, potential similar to Christie. What stops him being a ridiculous value is his conversion rate. Like I said in the radio commentary lots of times. It's opening up, isn't it? Paul from Oz watched the defender try to take Antoine out last season. He literally bounced off him. Bring on Mr. Kirkes. Totally agree with your comment on Andonia. So Paul from Oz.
Yeah.
And
Paul from Oz, you're gonna see that matchup on the first game of the season. Liverpool versus Bournemouth.
Exactly.
It's gonna be Semenyo versus Kirkes. It's that's gonna be an explosive game.
And Malcolm's singing "Keep Believing." Keep it. Believe it. I don't know who sings that song, but I've just got and butchered it.
That is The Journey.
The Journey.
For any music fans out there. Yeah.
Yes. There we are. Right, where are we going next? I tell you what, let's keep you hanging on for Semenyo. Yeah. So Sion is still mentioning with regards to Semenyo, and now Ryan Christie. Anyone surprised Christie hasn't got any offers I'm aware of anyway. We're going to get Semenyo at the end, just hold.
I agree with you, Sion, actually, about Ryan Christie. I thought he would have had a bit more.
Oh, he's massive. He's massive, and to be honest, he is such an important player for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm just going to, before you do a small segment about Semenyo, because you're going to do a separate show, aren't you?
I am going to do a bit of a blurb myself, where I can just blabber about how important Semenyo is.
That'll be a perfect one for Sion to go and watch back when it's Sion.
Yeah, but we will touch on it today. We are going to touch on it today. But expect about a 2-hour show talking about Semenyo and how much I love the man.
But before that, just want to go into, as we mentioned yesterday, the touchline interviews. So BBC have obviously done a report on the £6.4 billion deal through TNT and Sky Sports for the touchline interviews and essentially broadcast enhancements, right?
Yes.
And this is what they've called it, and I know you're gonna love this bit. So broadcast enhancements. They seem to think that it's going to bring positive influences to the game. Now,
yeah,
I just want to run through a few things, and I'm going to get your opinion at the end because I know that your face is going to contort into a number of shapes as I run through these things because they don't get any better. Some of this information. So substitution interviews. Firstly, so new feature. Players substituted during the matches will be briefly interviewed immediately at the touchline. So once they've cooled down, and even while the game continues, they'll be interviewed as soon as they get subbed off. Okay, so there's going to be a whole separate segment focusing on the substitute that comes off the pitch while the game continues on. Straight away, red flag for me. Straight away. Now the frequency, the clubs are expected to allow this to happen for at least 2 home games per season. So it's going to be a pilot, obviously, for this season, and it's going to try and enhance fan engagement. So it's going to happen for 2 home games per season. So a total of 40 games that we're now going to see these match enhancements come up against, right? So can also happen at halftime. So broadcasters will offer live interviews with players or coaches at halftime. Sometimes can be deducted by assistant coaches or 4th officials. Interesting.
Yeah.
And each club will pick one of 3 options. So they can either have post-sub interviews, halftime interviews, or limited dressing room footage for each home match. Now, there is restricted access, so only selected glimpses of pre or post-match. There's no filming during team talks, no filming during certain times in the dressing room, things like that. But it's almost sounding a bit like, do you remember the season that came out? I think there was 4 or 5 of them on Amazon Prime or Now TV, and it did the background for Tottenham and behind the scenes for Pep Guardiola at Man City. And I can't remember what that season was called, but it's sounding a little bit like we're trying to head down this videography route, right?
It's the biggest load of crap going. It really is. I'm going to lay straight into it. It is the biggest load of crap going.
Yeah.
Hand on heart, how is it going to ruin the spectacle for the fans in the crowd? Are we going to be sat there watching the game and we've got on the tannoy, and I'm guessing that each club are going to have to, nominate somebody to do these bloody interviews, or unless TNT or Sky Sports.
Well, it's funny you say that. So that was coming to the next point. There is an opt-in basis. So each club chooses the option for their 2 home games, and they don't necessarily have to do it.
Well, can we just completely opt out of this?
Why would we though? Because I imagine we're probably going to get paid by Sky and TNT. You imagine why there's 6.7 billion being ploughed into this deal. I imagine majority of that is being paid to clubs to allow for certain.
And we're going to be the guinea pig as well. I guarantee you, we're going to be the guinea pig on the first game of the season against Liverpool.
Probably.
That's when it's going to start. That's when it's going to start, and it's going to be an absolute shambles. It is going to be an absolute shambles.
Let me just clear off the last couple of points before I let you run off.
Go on.
So pitch side goal celebration coverage, steady cam footage. So camera crews will have short-term pitch access during goal celebrations to capture the moment up close. So,
for crying out loud! Hang on a second. Right, I've got this phone. Right, this phone has got 200 times zoom on it. Did I need it? No, probably not. Does it cost me too much? Yes, it does. But at the same time, this camera has got 200 times zoom. I could, if I wanted to, go to Dean Court, zoom straight in at a player after they've scored a goal. I'm not going to take a picture of the opposition players, but, zoom in. Semenyo celebrating his goal. I'll throw that in there. Semenyo zoom straight in there, take a picture, job done. Why the hell in a million years do we need somebody to run on the pitch and start taking photos? Firstly, have you ever tried taking a photo when running? It doesn't really work.
Well, so that's what I was about to say. The logistics of this is it's a team running on the pitch. Think about it. It's not just one person with a camera. It'll be a person with a camera set up is strapped to him, then a second person with a mic, and then probably a third person running over without either any wires or any other equipment that might be needed. So the way that I'm picturing this is a comedy sketch. It's gonna look like Ted Lasso, mate. Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yes, I've seen Ted
Yeah,
Lasso.
it's gonna look like and again, let me just finish the last 4 points. So big TV deal, obviously changes following a new 6.7 billion broadcast agreement. So that money is going to be ploughed into a number of other areas, I imagine. We'll hear more about that. Viewer appeal, so it's aimed at delivering more US-style immersive content. So bringing fans closer to raw emotions is the point of it. The concerns that are raised, obviously, analysts warn of potential drawbacks. So player composure, fixture congestion, privacy, and clubs like Arsenal, Man City are voicing concerns because they have higher profile managers that they don't really want insights for people to come in and see. Yeah, exactly that. You know, and you have to start pitching things like this, right, Sion? Right, Craig? Like, what if someone runs in a way that the cameraman's not expecting? Like, these aren't referees on a pitch that are used to jumping out the way of a football. These are amateur on the pitch people, and they're going to be running around with a camera trying to what?
It's stupid. And half time comes, right? You know, we're a goal up against Liverpool, first game of the season. The players need a rest. Andoni needs to get his points across, you know, of how we're going to combat the rest of this game to make sure that we go back to Bournemouth with 3 points from Anfield, right? That's the scenario. Instead, TNT Sports wants an interview with half of our bloody team on how we've got to that point. So Andoni can't actually get his points and his tactics over for the second half.
And
it is a shambles.
And that comes into the point where it's distracting players, distracting coaches. It's what was the other bit I read here? This is an interesting point. So it's disrupting half-time, disrupting pre-game planning and strategic moves just to produce generic and media-trained sound bites, which I think is accurate because that's all that's happening, right? There's money being paid so that they can gain closer, more upfront reactions from fans and football players. That's it. Like, there isn't any other real value here. There isn't more analytics or any data that's being pulled from it. Nothing is actually happening. It's just for entertainment purposes. I think that's the important thing to remember here, is it is purely and utterly for money and entertainment purposes, not in any way enhancing the game, not in any way enhancing the viewing capabilities, not in any way enhancing how people can watch it, or 3 p.m. kickoffs, or any other aspect that a real football fan watches football for. It's missing all of it.
There is no way that even if I was closer to the club, you know, than we already are, there is no way I would go and try and speak to Andoni Iraola at halftime because I'd want to see us win the game. And the thing is it is disrupting the flow, is disrupting the style. Does it happen in any other leagues apart from in America? No, it doesn't happen in La Liga. It doesn't happen in Ligue 1. It doesn't happen in Serie A. It is an absolute farce. It's an absolute farce. And to be honest, I hope it completely and utterly fails and falls flat on its face. Because I tell you what, it is an absolute joke. Right, rant's over. Let's get on to the main part.
Got that out of the way because we won't be bringing it up again until we get more info on the deal that's secured.
I tell you what, that would make another show as well. Let's just quickly go through some of these comments. Sion, not every player wants to leave. Probably turned down offers already. I think Ryan Christie is very, very happy here, and he is imperative to this football club. Sion said, maybe I should join you. Actually, I'll tell you what, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. We should, I tell you what, drop an email over to us, the UTCIAD AFCB @gmail.com one. and we'll get that sorted. I'll probably do my, blurb about Semenyo, straight away, seeing as it's just happened. But let's have a debate on camera. I tell you what, that would be absolutely brilliant. Antoine gets good dental care in Bournemouth, Sion. He does,
He does.
yes. A big
You're
plug
right.
for Dental on the Banks.
Yeah,
he does
shout
that.
out to the sponsor here, guys.
Yes, so Dental on the Banks is doing, keeping him here. Go take a pill, Craig. I need to check the doctors for that. Paul Sand said, would be a brave person who interviews Pep at halftime if City are losing. Do you know what? That might be what it needs. I wonder what Roy Hodgson, I wonder what Harry Redknapp would say. Harry Redknapp, as calm as he is, can sometimes, turn around. I don't know if you've ever seen where, I don't know who it is, but kind of hoofs the ball. I'll have to ask him, but hoofs the ball and it kind of hits Harry in the back of the head. And Harry's like,
Oh, I see.
classic. So yeah. Can you imagine Ian Dowie? Or somebody like that. Sam Allardyce would deck them. So yeah. Malcolm, every player wants, not every player wants to leave, but to not even have offers, even if rubbish news. I'm amazed, Christy, as he was probably our best player. Do you know what? He's an unsung hero. I think he's unrecognised by the rest of the Premier League, to be perfectly honest. So, long may that continue. It's good news that nothing has been mentioned, most definitely. If the camera people get tackled, do we get a penalty? I hope somebody gives them a tackle straight away. So many teams want to start quickly again after specially scoring. This is the exact thing, that we're on about. If you're having to wait for, a couple of people with cameras to stop waving them in your face to actually start the game again, is ridiculous. Could we have 25-minute time added on soon? It probably will happen. This is an absolute stupid idea. The time the camera people get off the pitch, it will end up adding on even more extra time. Spot on, Trevor. 25 minutes time added on, it'll just get farcical in the end. They have the choice not to be interviewed in the dressing room. I hope they all say that they don't want to be interviewed in the dressing room. Is football not a circus? Yeah, 100%. How much extra time will this add on with the cameras on the pitch? Yeah, probably, half an hour. Hope everybody's got lots of time. Paul, who are the faceless people that think up this rubbish? Richard Masters. I'd like to know who they are. Nobody wants this. Completely agree. Could have some new chants from the fans. Yeah, there probably will be some chants. Right, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. You've all been sat there waiting for. We have got loads of people in Instagram. They've all been waiting, patiently for this very, very moment as well. Everybody here has been waiting patiently. Semenyo has signed a new deal till 2023, 2030. Meaning he will remain an AFC Bournemouth player. Yes. Do you know what? He is the one player that I was desperate not to leave. I absolutely love the man. He is, without a doubt, I do take on board Sion's comments. I will take them on board, with regards to the conversion rates. I don't think it's that bad because he creates so much more than a lot of other players. He is a battering ram. He's strong. He's fast. He's pacey. He cuts inside. He can play on either wing. He's very, very adaptable. He can play through the centre. The man is a beast and he is consistent now. At Bristol City, when we signed Antoine Semenyo, I turned round to Matt, and it's on this channel somewhere. And Trevor saying here, he is gold. He most definitely is gold. I'll be honest, when we signed Antoine Semenyo, I turned around to Matt. It's going to be on the channel somewhere. Go find it. Somebody will probably clip it, bring it up. You'll probably clip it, bring it up, Ollie, with all the gadgetry. I turned around and said, actually, I said it to Mark McAdam as well. I said, I don't know about this signing. He blows hot and cold for Bristol City. And I'm sure Mark McAdam even agreed with me. Nothing of the sort whilst at Bournemouth. He has been consistent. You know what you're getting from him. I think he's been playing with an injury as well. Antoine Semenyo, absolutely love you, mate. Absolutely delighted. I want you to stay at AFC Bournemouth for the rest of your career. If in hard times, you can even bloody move in with me. Honestly, I'll tell you what, a legend. Need I say more? Need I say more? Look at what he did against Manchester United. Look at what he did against Arsenal. He's come on. He's done exactly what we expected, him to do. He's come on with that passion. He's changed the game up. The man, the conversion rates, yes, might not be, but he creates so much more. That's going to be a bit of an awkward one, though. I hope not. I hope the release clause is 150 million. If I was Andoni Iraola, I'd put on there 100. No. Arsenal might pay that. 200 million. 200 million. I like a bit like Dr. Evil. Has anybody watched Austin Powers here?
Yeah.
200 million pound. I can't do the accent. Yeah. But yeah. Also, it'd be exactly. And I think this is imperative for Andoni Iraola. I was saying this to somebody yesterday, and if we are just going to sell Milos Kerkez and Dean Howson in this window and going to stand firm with everybody else, Zabania, we're going to make sure that Justin Kluivert maybe is tied down to a new contract. Andoni Iraola is more likely to continue this project. We have to think about this main man. We have to think about the manager. Would I have wanted Semenyo to stay over Andoni Iraola? I think no. And I know that sounds crazy because everybody knows how much I love Semenyo. I think Andoni Iraola is a man that is the man who has moulded these players. There's me. I tell you what, I feel like such a plonker all that time ago, and let's take it back 24 months where I was going, I don't think this might work. I feel like such a plonker now saying that. Because Andoni Iraola has moulded these players into players who are better than what they were. And Malcolm, spot on. Don't forget, we are a project in process. We most definitely are. Imagine if the men and Evan Nielsen can sort out the conversion. Semenyo, I think. Semenyo or Evan. To be honest, Sion, I think we'd be in Europe. And I think we'd be in quite a nice European competition. So, yes, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
And as mentioned earlier, Craig does have a whole episode coming on Semenyo. So do keep your eye out, especially Sion, because I imagine it's going to be a debatable one. That conversion rates may not be brought up, Sion.
And I tell you what, Sion, I'm just going to put in there the email address now. I really do want to do this show with you, where we can discuss Semenyo, and I can give my passionate opinion, and you can give your passionate opinion of the conversion rates and what he needs to do to get better. Because hey, we all want to see him improve. We all want to see him get better. We all want to see him progress. And I tell you what, if the conversion rates are better, like you say, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, there's a question there from Trev, and I'm not going to answer it, Trevor, because I'm hosting the show tomorrow, mate. So I'm going to bring this up as the first talking point.
There we are. Keep your eyes peeled. For tomorrow. Oh, and don't worry, Sion, I have got I've got one of these Samsung watches and I message Ollie on it all the time. And to be perfectly honest, it all comes back, you know, to be honest, none of it makes bloody sense, does it really?
Not all the time, no.
There we are. Honesty is the best policy. I tell you what, it's been a bumper episode this morning. We better go do some work in a moment.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, the bell button. Share this video with your friends. Share the competition with your friends. Share it with everybody, you know, and please, please, please do get as many people involved, you know. Share it on your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your Twitters, your, you know, Blue Skies, I don't know, Discords. Well, what else is there? There's loads of stuff, isn't there? MySpace, is that still a thing?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Fair enough. Fair
No,
enough.
it's not.
But yeah, thank you again, Ollie. You will be
No
here
worries.
tomorrow, won't
Yeah,
you?
pleasure.
I will be off, but Malcolm will be joining Ollie for all the discussion. And yes, we shall see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Up the cherries. Go win that plaque. Go guess now. Go into that post section. See you tomorrow.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
I should be like you, Mel.